All right, let's get it. Okay, today we're going to be talking about sympathetic, parasympathetic, and a little bit about the somatic nervous systems, how they differ, what they do, how it works, how they fire, stuff like that. So we're going to talk about, let's just talk about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic first. I'm going to draw it just because that's how it's going to be. Are you kidding me? All right. All right, and then this is going to be our sympathetic pathway. And this is going to be our parasympathetic pathway. Wonderful. Okay. Okay. So we got two different pathways. We're also going to be talking a little bit about the somatic. And just the differences. So the somatic is actions based. So we can move my arm. I can control things with the somatic. The sympathetic and parasympathetic is the autonomic nervous system. Autonomic means it does it by itself. So there's two different parts of the autonomic system. It's the sympathetic and parasympathetic neural pathways. They do different things, and sometimes they actually kind of combat against each other. They even each other out, I would say. So the CNS origin of, let's say, sympathetic, we're going from S2 to S4. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry, that's wrong. Sorry, T1 to L2. That's on the spinal cord. And then the parasympathetic, we're going from so we're doing the brainstem. So there's on the brainstem right up here to so brainstem, and then S2 to S4. So that's on the sacrum. So down here, if you can see it. So a lot of this, like the vagus nerve, comes from your brainstem. Some other nerves, mostly to your face. But the vagus nerve actually comes down and does 85% of the parasympathetic system, 75 to 85%. So that's a lot. Pretty important because people who are paraplegic, it still works, right? If it was down here, it wouldn't work. Okay, let's get it. So the number of neurons for somatic, it's one straight neuron, right? I got lots of action reflexes, but with sympathetic and parasympathetic, we got two. So we got preganglionic. I'm going to use this one down here. Preganglionic. And then this is postganglionic. Okay, so both of these have a preganglionic and both of these have a post. Preganglionic is myelinated. Post is not. Yep. And so the location of the ganglia, so sympathetic has very, its synapse, or this is a synapse right here. The synapse is very close to the spinal column, while the parasympathetic actually synapses basically on the organ. So that's the difference between the two. This one's close to the spine, this one is right on the organ. And of course we've got different neurotransmitters between these bad boys. So say we get something going from here, we're gonna get a synapse, right? And this is ACH. Same thing here, ACH. And so that's the first synapse for both of these. but it changes when we get to the organ we're going to, or whatever we're trying to, the target, as we would say. When we're trying to get to the target, this one actually does norepinephrine, or NE, and this one does ACH. That's pretty important when we'll talk a little bit later about how things can be affected by drugs. But for this, we have nicotinic receptors. Both of these, right? That's a nicotinic receptor. And then for this, we actually have, we don't have a nicotinic receptor. It's norepinephrine, and it's going to affect it. The receptors are different on these targets. So with the targets, let's just say we're just going to do sympathetic right here and para. Let me just make sure you can see that. Oh yeah, we can see it. Great. Okay, we got sympathetic, parasympathetic. Can you see that T? Oh yeah, you can. Great. Okay, sympathetic is going to be alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, and then, oh my goodness, I think it's dopamine 1 and dopamine 2. And this is going to be muscarinic. So M1, M2, M3, M4, and M5. Okay, this is important because these all do different things within the body. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit about it later. Actually, no, never mind. We were talking about it right now. Okay, so a lot of these actions, right, when we get something going through here, we're going to affect one of these. So this is only for parasympathetic, okay? This is only for sympathetic. So these do different things than these, okay? I'll just start explaining. We're just going to talk about the eye because we can. We'll see if blue works for us today. Oh, look at that. Blue. There's the iris. Okay, so on the eye, right, we got these things. We have an alpha 1, and in the inside we have an M. So here's an example of one of the actions that we're going to be doing here. So say we have a sympathetic pathway. Say we take a drug that actually affects the ACH pretty hard, or something like that. But basically, say the sympathetic pathway is getting dilated. We're getting an agonist, so we'll just say agonist. An agonist means it activates it. So we'll just say we got a alpha 1 agonist, which would make this, your eye, dilate. It pulls this outwards. So this would go actually outwards, right? We'd have a really big eye. Say we have a alpha 1 antagonist, so it's opposite. Antagonist means it would stop it from stop anything from connecting to it. We would actually get this to shrink to a pinpoint, right? Or if we got a muscarinic agonist, it would shrink to a pinpoint because that's what it controls. So that's kind of an action of those receptors. There's other examples. We have like the lungs, with your lungs, with the bronchioles, like asthma, COPD, right? These are where your bronchioles are constricted and you're not getting enough airflow. So what happens is we have B2 binds really strongly with something called epinephrine. Epinephrine. It binds really strongly with epinephrine and opens up those lungs, while muscarinic actually closes those, constricts those. So if we had a strong B2 response, it would actually counteract the muscarinic. This is usually called fight or flight. This is called rest and digest. So usually agonists and antagonists are used as an action type. So we didn't go over cholinergic. Let me make some space here. That's really hard to choose what to get rid of. Okay, we're gonna get rid of this. Sympathetic. Sorry, sympathetic. You're gone. Okay. Might as well just get rid of parasympathetic. It doesn't really matter. Okay. Okay, so Cholnergic. I don't know if I'm totally butchering it. Okay, Cholnergic, and then we have adrenergic. Oh my goodness. Nergic. There it goes. So, out of those, we have two. Nicotinic, and then we have muscarinic. Adrenic, we have two. It's alpha, and we have beta. So within those, we have these. So, right, we have alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1 through beta 3. This is M1 through M5, and then this is just a receptor. This is remember that receptor that was in the middle? It's usually ACH, and those are the different ones. We kind of talked about that already. This is actually up here. We're just ACH, and then this is norepinephrine and epinephrine, epi. Okay, so those are the two neurotransmitters, I would say. There's a neurotransmitters that opens the nicotinic, which is a ligand gated channel, and then these connect to alphas and betas. And I think that's everything. We've gone over versus CNS origin, we got that number of neurons and pathway, which is 2, location of the ganglia, yes. Neurotransmitters, yep, ACH, norepinephrine, epinephrine, type of receptors, nicotinic, muscarinic, alpha and beta. Actions, yeah, we showed that. Usually muscarinic are opposites of alpha and beta. We have dopamine ones, but they usually just bond with dopamine receptors. We went over cholinergic and adrenergic. We did the mechanisms of actions earlier about the eyes and the lungs. The heart is also one. I think it's alpha 1 and the heart, and then one of the muscarinic ones. Usually the heart With alpha, it speeds it up, while this one slows down. Remember, rest and digest. But I think that's it. That's everything I got for you today.